What's up, everybody? Well, today I am here to bring to you another vacuum that is in my vacuum collection. And, as you may have guessed it, by clicking on the thumbnail of this video, it's another Hoover Elite. I'm sure a lot of you returning subscribers know by now, but for those of you who are just tuning in or just clicked on this video and haven't seen anything else, or for those of you who watch my videos without checking source material, probably should know by now, I love Hoover Elites. They are my most favorite vacuum, and I will keep collecting them until the day I die. And I always try to snatch one up whenever a good-looking one comes across my path. And today, I bring to you a variation of the Hoover Elite that is kind of bittersweet. What I have is a Hoover Commercial Lightweight Upright model C1404-900. Many people will probably know this better as the Hoover Elite and Hoover Elite Supreme. This is the last variant of the Hoover Elite. However, I shouldn't say this is the last, but this is the last version of the Elite, even after Hoover was bought out by TTI. Some people may know that I have featured another Hoover Elite commercial on my channel that was also a C1404. But that was the early Magtag style with the Elite 200 style hood. I've always wanted to get a later version that was made after the TTI buyout with a little bit different of a hood design. I particularly wanted the hardbag C1414-900 model because it was the hardbag and had onboard tools. Unlike the 1404, which for whatever reason, even changing the hood design, which by the way has the port mounted for tools, never came with them. So I do not know why that is, but this thing can run tools if you have a separate hose attachment kit for it. Or if you so want to do, which I may want to do one of these days, buy a tool kit for this thing and mount it on. So it can have onboard tools like this thing was clearly set up to have. But the 1404, per regulations, never came with tools. The 1414 did. And I think to my knowledge, even the C1415, which was also another model at the time, but that was that weird bagless design that Hoover decided to take, I think, that was modeled after the Guardsman bagless, and then modeled it onto a Hoover Elite for some reason, which is a very strange design. But for now, the 1404 was the base model, and this is pretty much the symbolize of the end of an era for the Hoover Elite. Production of these went from 2008, after the TTI buyout, ran all the way up until October of 2012, and these legendary vacuums eventually became no more. Part support started slowly dying, and these vacuums have slowly become obsolete. So it's a shame, but now I got one of the examples of the last few Hoover Elites. So let's go ahead and give a walkthrough of the cleaner. One thing I do like on the later TTI variant commercial Elites is that they have the handle mounted power switch versus the side mounted power switch that the older ones would have, which is much more convenient. So you could just reach right here at your thumb and turn it on like that instead of just having to reach all the way down and turn it on that way. However, what is very interesting about this is that this has, for whatever reason, a switch blank right here, like it would have came with a side-mounted power switch, which at first I think Hoover probably did this, or either that or there's some earlier models that had the side mount power switch before they moved to the handle switch in later years. But all the production models were slated to have side mount power switch, but before Hoover decided to switch to the handle switch. So they did, since these were already made, they decided, you know what, let's just block them off and they'll never know it's there. Unless you're smart like me, and you can definitely tell this thing was originally a power switch model. And also on the back here, you got your very long, I think it's about a 40-foot power cord. So it's very nice and long. The plug end is a little bit different compared to the early Maytag style, which is another thing that the TTI model did different, but it's still the same commercial grade cord with a large cord hook on the top here. This is not designed to be rotated, but there is a bottom section right here that allows the vacuum to hang on to a hotel housekeeping cart, which can be nice. You could just pull it straight off that way. And by the way, the vacuum is very lightweight, which is one nice thing to love about these. And the thing I like about it, since this doesn't come with onboard tools, it kind of makes it less cumbersome. And let's go and show you. It's got the Hoover top fill lettering on the front of the bag there. And the zipper is on the left side of the cleaner. And on the inside, you do have your Hoover Type A bag. I always like to run HEPA cloth bags for increased filtration. They filter much better than even the genuine paper bags do at the time, especially the ones used on the actual commercial models, if there are any of them that, for whatever reason, are still in service. But HEPA cloth bags are much better in filtration than the paper bags are. You have your stair cleaning handle down here, and down on the front of the hood, it's pretty basic. It's got no marketing labels on it. It's just your Hoover commercial lightweight lettering on the front there, and 4-position carpet height adjustment. I always leave it on the middle for the pile of this carpet. You do have your attachment door on the side right here. You can lift this up to attach a hose in to use onboard tools that this, once again, as I keep reiterating, did not come with, but it was set up. If you do have a Parts Elite that has a hose that comes with it, you can run it in this. And this, you can definitely see, was where much older Elite models would have come with a headlight from the factory, but this one, being a commercial model, doesn't have one, so they just blanked it off like so. And let's go ahead and flip this thing underneath to show you the brush roll. This here is the Blue Bristle dual row brush roll. It is medium stiff. This thing is a little bit worn over the years, so it's not as aggressive as the white bristle one. And this thing was incredibly filthy when I got it. So I did a major cleaning, and here's how it sits today. It still looks to be in good shape, despite the bristles have lost their stiffness over the years. But I personally don't care. This thing runs amazing with this brush roll. And of course, I service the bearings on both sides. One thing I do find very weird about this is the bottom plate is actually held on by a single screw right over here. And not only that, but it also holds down the top of the hood. My other C1404 with the Elite 200 hood actually comes with 2 screw holes. Actually 2 screws. Even one right over here, but for whatever reason this doesn't come with, because it would interfere with the attachment door right here. So I do not know why. There's not even a screw provision on the underside of the hood, so don't know why Hoover decided 1 screw was better than 2, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and show you the model number to the cleaner. Here is the double insulated label right there. When servicing, only use identical replacement parts that meets OSHA requirements. And the model number is the Hoover C1404. This is better known as the C1404-900 since it's the later style. by the Hoover Incorporated in Glenwillow, Ohio. Interesting. I'm so used to these things being made in the North Canton, Ohio plant. So it's pretty interesting that they moved production of these to Glenwillow. The serial number, if anyone knows how to serial date these old Hoovers, is 03 of 10, which means this vacuum was manufactured in March of 2010. So that's just how new this Elite is. And the belt number is 38528-040. Earlier one was 38528-027. But the 040 just basically is a little bit better of a belt that is a little bit wider than the 027 belt. So it does create a little bit more power. 120 volts, 60 hertz as a 7.1 amp motor. Interesting, because a lot of these Elites have either 7 amps flat or 7.2 amps. So I'm not too sure what the 0.1 amp difference is. I want to say it's the brush roll design. And all motors, I think, draw 7 amps completely, but it usually depends on what kind of brush roll. Usually back in the day, the ones that were 7 amps flat usually had a single row brush roll. The 7.2 amp ones would have a dual row brush roll like this has here. But if there's one thing I do love about these later edition motors is the fan impeller that's in it. Many people probably know this when Hoover introduced the 12 amp motor on these, but the fan impeller for that one was upgraded from a 7 blade to a 20 blade. And that eventually carried over into the low amp commercial model, like this one. Even my Maytag one has one that came factory with it. This was not replaced. It came factory with this 20 blade. And the thing to love about it is it provided much lower noise while also improving suction and airflow by quite a bit. So performance-wise, this thing definitely outperforms the earlier model 7 amp motors with the 7 blade, while also sounding much more quiet, which you're going to see once I release the power cord, which unfortunately I have to do it manually because this cord hook doesn't rotate. There we are, stupidly long cord. So we go ahead and plug this guy in. And now we will go ahead and turn this thing on, and we will give you a little demo of this machine operating. Typical Elite fashion, these things still are pretty loud, but not as loud now that this has the upgraded fan, or came with it, I should say. But anyway, here we go. such a smooth running cleaner and such a pleasant machine to use. It's really a shame that Hoover had to discontinue this legendary platform of vacuums, but these things will forever have a place in any Hoover lover's heart, myself included. Well, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this video on the Hoover Commercial Lightweight C1404-900. Be sure and stay tuned, and don't forget to like, rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.